I know, it's been a while since I've done a video, I've had some time off, but don't worry, I am back. Yes, the nitpicking a-hole YouTuber is back, and to start off, this is 10 Things Wrong with Rogue One. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, or simply Rogue One, is a 2016 American epic space opera film directed by Gareth Edwards. It tells the story of how the Rebel Alliance actually got their first victory against the Empire to steal the plans of the Death Star, leading into the events of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, the very first Star Wars film. When the film was released, it did receive quite positive reviews from critics, praised for its acting, its story, near enough everything. However, its pacing and characters did receive some criticism. But what have I found wrong with the film? Well, let's discuss 10 things wrong with Rogue One. Number 10, facial capture. Now, I know at the time of release, this did receive quite a lot of criticism, especially towards Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia facial capture, superimposing on someone else. Now, I don't actually have that much of an issue with that one because it was literally one scene, it's a blink and you miss it moment, no issues. That's actually it done perfectly. The issue I've got is with Tarkin. Now, Tarkin was played by the late great Peter Cushing in the original Star Wars film. However, in this film, Tarkin was actually played by Guy Henry. Guy Henry is actually more famous for his role as Henrik Hansen in Holby City here in the UK. Now, this is why I have an issue with it. Guy Henry actually does look slightly similar to Peter Cushing. He's a younger version of Peter Cushing. It's also not the first time he's actually taken on a role played by Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing was actually famous for playing Sherlock Holmes back in the 50s and 60s. And yet, Guy Henry actually played a young Sherlock Holmes in a one-off TV series that had 8 episodes where he played Sherlock Holmes. If you were going to make a biographical film of Peter Cushing, Guy Henry would be the bloke in charge. He's perfect for the role. You didn't really need to stick the CGI face on him. It didn't look good. It looked like you're watching a video game, which is surprising because in this film, the special effects are amazing, except that one. That's the only bad CGI in this film. It's the only bad special effects, and you didn't need to. It would have worked perfectly with none of that, and he could have actually just done his mannerisms, which he did perfectly, just without the whole, let's stick someone else's face on you. Number 9, Stormtrooper Aim. Now, let's face it, this is a running joke. How bad are Stormtroopers' aims? Obi-Wan Kenobi says it in the first film, only Stormtroopers' aims are that precise. Yet we never saw it. We never saw it in Star Wars A New Hope, but that was because they were deliberately missing. You didn't see it in Empire Strikes Back, and you definitely did not see it in Return of the Jedi where the Stormtroopers got beat by little cuddly toys. That is a different story. We'll wait till I get round to doing Return of the Jedi, and that will be coming up. But that being said, this film had the perfect opportunity to actually show how good and how deadly these Stormtroopers could be. But no, it was saying, open targets. I'll shoot over here, I'll shoot over here. I will not shoot directly at my target. You had the best opportunity to actually show, for once, that Stormtroopers are actually good at shooting. But you didn't. Number 8, Chirritt. Now, if you had to give an MVP for all the characters in this film, it would be Chirritt, played by Donnie Yen. He was fantastic, he was brilliant, and he was humorous. I think he's up there with Alan Tudyk in the, like, let's make the audience laugh category. Now, what I have an issue with is he was supposed to be a Wills, a guardian of the Jedi, and yet he had all these Force powers. Now, bizarrely enough, I wrote the script last night, and today at work I was discussing this with a couple of my work colleagues. Now, they disagree with me on this point, but I'm standing my point. This is my video. At the end, when he was dying, he should have admitted he was a Jedi in hiding. It would have been perfect. It would have explained why he had all these powers. Now, the people at work said, no, it's good. It shows that not every Force user is a Jedi or Sith. I understand that point, but no, I'm just going to disagree. I told you, I'm an a-hole. Number 7, poor security. Yavin 4 is the home of the Rebel base. You saw it in Star Wars Episode 4 and you see it here, recreated perfectly. And yet their security is appalling. Bear in mind, this is a hidden Rebel base and its security is appalling. They have brought in a stolen Imperial shuttle. You could get so much good stuff from that. Codes, frequencies, you could do so much damage to the Empire with that one shuttle. So who's guarding it? No one. Just before they go and become Rogue One and steal the shuttle, but they just walk straight into it. Not a single security guard, nobody stopped him. The only time was an operator at the other end of the radio who's probably in a building a couple of miles away. Nobody stopped them stealing that shuttle. Granted, it's a stolen shuttle, but it's worth so much, and I just think the lack of security is not really that good. Number 6, landing gear. Now this one is my nitpicking to an absolute T, but I found this quite glaring. So when they've actually stolen the shuttle, they've approached Seraph, they've actually got through the shield, the scene's in the cockpit, and they do this whole landing procedure. Landing struts locked. Okay, fine, I've got no issue with that. Then they go down these stairs. She's motivating the troops. It's a nice long scene of them really getting going of what they're going to do. Then it cuts to outside. Bear in mind, it's been a few minutes now, and the shuttle's coming down. Just as it lands, its landing struts come out. What? You said about 10 minutes ago your landing struts were out. Somebody really messed that one up, didn't they? Told you I'm a nitpicker. Number 5, bad aim. Now before you say, wait Berryman, you've already said about the aim of the Stormtroopers. Yes, you're right, I have. But I'm not on about the Stormtroopers. In fact, this puts the Stormtroopers to shame. So right at the end of the film, the plans have been beamed. It makes no sense. The plans have got to the rebels. The Death Star's about to fire. They are ordered to aim for Sarif base. Remember that. They were ordered to hit the base. So where did they hit? About 20 miles to sea. Now granted, the base was destroyed, so I'm not going to take that away. But you missed. How the hell? Seriously, how did you miss? It's like aiming for a dartboard with a bazooka at point blank range. You can't miss. But instead, you've hit next to the dartboard with this bazooka. Granted, you're going to destroy the dartboard, but you still missed. Seriously, how the hell did you miss it? Number 4, jokes. Now I've already said in this video that it's quite humorous, especially Donnie Yen and Alan Tudyk. They brought the house down, they were hilarious, and especially some of their lines were ad-libbed. Bear in that mind, they were made up on the spot. But there's one joke, one, it falls flat, and 2, the character shouldn't have been telling jokes, and that was Darth Vader. You shouldn't choke on your aspirations. It didn't work. Now yes, Anakin Skywalker, he was a joker, he made jokes. That was Anakin Skywalker before he went to the dark side. Darth Vader, he was polite, he was honourable, but he was never humorous in the original trilogy. Not to my knowledge, I cannot remember Darth Vader actually telling a joke. So why, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, have you made Darth Vader telling jokes? Doesn't make sense, it doesn't work, and it's like, what? Number 3, first Darth Vader scene. Talking about that whole Darth Vader scene, it didn't actually need to be in the film. Yet I know why it's in the film, because there is actually 2 different versions of this film. The original version will never, ever, ever be released. I will come on to the other version, but in the original version, this would have been fine because it was a nice little fan service. Hey look, Darth Vader is still around. here he is. It would have worked. But because you got Darth Vader in later, this scene doesn't need to be here. Doesn't progress the story. Anything. You put a bad joke in, which I've already said about, but yet this whole scene is just worthless. All you get to learn is Darth Vader is on Mustafar. We knew that anyway from reading the comics and reading the books. You just wanted to show it on the big screen, and yeah, this scene just felt wrong. It did slow the pacing down of this film. This scene wasn't here. Now, in the original cut of the film, it would have worked, but because of a lot of the reshoots and changes you've made, this scene was surplus to requirements. So if you cut it out, it wouldn't have made a difference. But I keep saying about changes. What about those changes? Number 2, late addition. This isn't a wrong per se, it's just wrong that it's a late addition. In my opinion, now arguably, this is the best scene in the film. Darth Vader coming out, lightsaber, shining him, killing all the rebel soldiers is a brilliant scene. Yet, it was an afterthought. I am so glad they went back and sort of put it in, but yeah, it was an afterthought. Like I said, if with this you didn't need the previous scene. However, the original cut, the ending was bad. They didn't like the ending, so they've redone the ending, and we got this amazing scene. I don't like, and it is just so wrong, that this was an afterthought. That's it. The scene was brilliant though, but it wasn't the only thing wrong with that scene. Number 1, making the audience immoral. Yep, I'm being serious. That scene made the audience, myself included, immoral. What do I mean? Well, let's face it, the moment you saw that lightsaber, the moment you saw Darth Vader in all his glory, holding all his power, using the Force to keep the door shut, deflecting blasters, killing all the rebels, you're cheering. The first time you saw this film, and I don't care who you would have been cheering. It was an amazing scene. You are cheering for a bad guy slaughtering good, innocent people. See? It's the best scene in the film, but it makes you, the audience, wrong. I mean, let's face it, Gareth Edwards, you're a legend for making the audience cheer for the slaughter of innocent people, but the scene's perfect, but it's just, you're cheering. That's the wrongness of this. Final thoughts. Well, as you can probably tell, I've actually enjoyed this film. There isn't actually that much wrong in this film. There is actually so much right with this film. It's actually, you do get the sense that this is a Star Wars film. You get the sense, and I'm glad they did this. It's the still 70s uniforms, 70s set pieces. You've got all that, and some of this is built from scratch. The Death Star plans with its error. I didn't pick that up in this film because it wasn't this film's fault. But there is an error on the Death Star plans, yet they kept that error in, and they kept it using 70s graphics. Amazing. Most days, most directors would have actually modernised it and updated it, but Gareth Edwards didn't. He's actually gone back and recreated the costumes from the 70s. Fantastic. I've never ever praised costume design before, yet Gareth Edwards' costume design and the people who actually did the costumes did a bang up job. The soundtrack, granted it's not John Williams, you are never ever going to get as good as John Williams, but I'll tell you one thing, they gave a bloody good shot. It's not far away. There's not really much to say about this film, and the one thing that's got me about this film, I've seen it a few times and I've watched it again for this review, is the special effects, especially with the Star Destroyers. Every time I've watched it, I have wondered, are they models or are they VFX? Now they are VFX, they are computer generated, but that's how good they are. when you are questioning and saying, that looks like a model, that means ILM did their jobs perfectly. Well, they are the best in the business, you'd expect them to. But yeah, the story was good. I know some people say it doesn't really follow on to A New Hope. I think it does. You can watch this film and A New Hope back to back and it's like you're watching one film. I enjoyed this film. I always have enjoyed this film. There's not really much I can say wrong. Yes, some of these things I'm saying are silly and nitpicking, but hey, that's me. But ultimately, what am I going to rank it? Well, I'm going to have to give it an 8 out of 10. It's still not Star Wars, but they've tried as close to being Star Wars as you possibly could. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than Solo. That film was awful. This is what we needed in the Star Wars franchise. I'm glad we got it, and yes, it's one thoroughly enjoyable film that if you're any sci-fi fan, any Star Wars fan, you need to watch this film. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, on to next week. Yes, I am back. I am going to be keeping a regular schedule. But what film am I going to be doing next week? Well, it's a film that's a remake that's not long come out. And you want a really big clue? Dusty! That's your clue. I will see you next Sunday, 6 p.m. Take care. Bye-bye.